Celebrating the men and women who have served our country this Veterans Day. The CBS 6 News at 4 continues now. I'm Greg McQuaid at the Virginia War Memorial. Over the years, I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of veterans across Central Virginia. Well, today, we go back in time as I reintroduce you to just some of the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen who fought for our freedom.
I think he's neat. I think he looks nice.
The images
And I think it's a nice picture.
are forever frozen in black and white. But to Mrs. Alma Gravely,
You have a picture of the two of us.
memories of the man in uniform she loved remain in vivid color.
I think he's a handsome guy. That was probably one of the reasons I married him.
Samuel Gravely Jr.'s U.S. Navy career spanned 3 wars, 4 decades, and 7 seas.
I used to call him Sammy the Sailor, and nobody knew anything about him except Sammy the Sailor.
On June 2nd, 1971, Alma's sailor would make his biggest splash.
And that he just plain loved the Navy.
50 years ago this month, the Richmond native was promoted to Admiral.
I am most proud of the opportunity to have served my country.
Many seamen before him would hold the rank, but this was the first time for an African American.
I was very happy for him because I knew that he had done the best he could. I knew from whence he came.
Mrs. Gravely says while rising through the ranks, the Admiral endured outright discrimination.
The skipper got this message that they hear that the ship has a Negro officer aboard. He is to be informed that he cannot come to the officers' clubs. I would think that it hurt him and probably embarrassed him before the others.
The 99-year-old says rough waters only made Samuel more determined.
Very, very, very seriously.
Gravely would sail into many more firsts. First to command a combatant ship, first to be promoted to flag rank, and first to command a naval fleet.
Let's see, there were 8 ships in that squadron, and I rode every one of them. Sometime for a day, sometime for a week.
In an interview with the Visionary Project about 20 years ago, Admiral Gravely did not boast about making history.
It was a will to do it. And I didn't plan to fail. I had to do that to be successful. It just so happened that I was first. And other people would have been successful if they'd been first. As simple as that.
I think he was a role model by being himself more than anything else.
I believe there will always be new challenges, and I fully intend to pursue each opportunity to the maximum extent feasible.
On July 31st, 1980, after 38 years, Admiral Gravely would drop anchor and retire.
To me, the Navy has afforded the best of all possible worlds, and I shall sorely miss it.
I don't think he would have thought he would ever have a ship named after him.
In the years since, the United States Navy has honored his legacy by christening the USS Samuel L. Gravely Jr.
Yes. You can hear where it broke, where I broke it, when I hit the point of the bow.
What a career. What a role model.
On the 50th anniversary of Gravely's promotion to Admiral, the Navy League paid tribute to their fellow sailor. Attending the ceremony at the Virginia War Memorial on this day,
I'm incredibly proud.
Captain Corey Odom, skipper of the destroyer that bears the name of his idol.
His primary goal was to be the best at what he did. It wasn't about race, it was about being the best naval officer.
Captain Odom says Admiral Gravely still inspires a half-century later.
I will do anything for this nation. I will do anything for this crew. I will do anything for this Navy. I am beyond proud to be the first Black American to command the ship named after the first Black Admiral. Team Gravely, first to conquer.
They always said, we stand on his shoulders. All of the time. All of the time.
Back in Haymarket, Alma Gravely's home serves as a time capsule of her husband's sterling career and life well lived.
He was very, very persistent.
In 2004, Mrs. Gravely's beloved husband and father of 3 suffered a stroke and died in 2004. He was 82 years old. Along Eisenhower Drive in Section 66 at Arlington National Cemetery, Gravely is forever at ease.
That's what he did, He was persistent. He kept going and going and going.
The Mariner may no longer be sailing the world's oceans,
I must tell you that the full impact of my leaving the Navy today has not as yet set in.
but Admiral Samuel Lee Gravely Jr. leaves a lasting wake for others to follow.
The old saying, sailors belong on ships and ships belong at sea, has always been my hallmark and matched my philosophy perfectly. Thank you, and may God bless.
I was always interested in airplanes, and I thought I could be a pilot.
He hasn't flown professionally in more than 75 years.
That's my favorite aircraft. See how pretty it is?
But Dominic D'Adamo still admires the Wild Blue Yonder.
The job was so important to me, and I just wanted to make sure that I did it right.
The 100-year-old Richmonder who grew up on Hanover Avenue
Well, these are my two brothers, and that's me. This is my mother.
earned his wings the most white-knuckle way possible.
My job was dropping the bombs
As a bombardier,
up front here, right in the nose.
Mr. D'Adamo had a front row seat in a B-24 Liberator.
But we had fighter planes coming at us. You could see the tracer bullets from them.
Plexiglass is all that separated the 22-year-old from the enemy.
And I never saw so much flak in all my life. And it knocked out 2 or 3 panels on the nose where I was.
Close calls were routine in the 389th Bomber Group over Europe. So was watching other bombers fall out of the sky.
I saw my first plane go down in flames, and that kind of upset me on my first mission. Well, I just couldn't believe it. We saw a few parachutes come out, but that was all.
Captain D'Adamo flew 22 missions during the war. None more harrowing than the infamous Ploesti raid.
The chimneys were 212 feet tall, so they wanted us to go in at 250 feet, so we wouldn't hit those.
177 B-24s roared over Romania on August 1st, 1943. The target, massive refineries.
Well, that was Hitler's main source of oil.
Every pilot ordered to fly at dangerous altitudes.
We could feel it sometimes scraping the trees, We got so low. We were so close to the ground, we could see people's expression on their faces.
When the bombing run was over, more than 50 B-24s and about 500 of Mr. D'Adamo's fellow airmen were lost.
It hit us hard. Anytime you lost a crew, it hit you hard. But that's the way it went. You left, you didn't know whether you were coming back or not. It finally didn't bother you. It didn't make any difference.
He lived through one of World War II's most daring missions.
That's me. We were flying through the Strait of Gibraltar.
Now, this bombardier is one of the last living survivors.
It made the news pretty good, and some people still talk about it.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
This Veterans Day, people are not forgetting his sacrifice.
And I thank you.
Well, thank you,
It's
sir.
very generous to do this,
Well, it's your day.
His hospice nurses pay tribute
and I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
to a humble and grateful man, Dominic D'Adamo,
This is me.
an airman still soaring high
Well,
at 100.
I don't call it luck. I think I was blessed. For some reason, I was blessed. Well, I've been blessed all my life, really. I've had a wonderful life.
Two very powerful stories right there. Next at 4 o'clock, I'm going to introduce you to one Afghanistan veteran using artwork to heal. Why his work makes some viewers do a double take.